Testing, testing. Yeah, I decided to play a little crazy freestyle jazz to kind of start this thing off to make sure my mic was working because nothing will let you know that your mic is working like the crazy abstract, flavors of the free jazz realm. You know what I mean? So yeah, I know it's the holidays. Happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas. We celebrate Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. I think Hanukkah just passed, but Happy Hanukkah, belated Hanukkah. Happy Saturnalia to those people who celebrate the original holiday. You know what I'm saying? And then Happy Kwanzaa to those that celebrate Kwanzaa, which is like 0.1% of the population. Like, I grew up in an Afrocentric household and we didn't even celebrate Kwanzaa. I think there was maybe once that we went to a Kwanzaa celebration, but we never celebrate Kwanzaa. So anyway, man, what this stream is going to be about is I'm going to give my honest opinions on something that I think a lot of people are afraid to talk about, and this is relating to the service, right? So there has been like some more murders that have been happening. And I'm not going to throw the whole branch under the bus, but unfortunately, it's the Army. I'm an Army brat. But there's a lot of people that have been, dying besides Vanessa Gillian. And this is no shade to her. May she rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? May she be granted, paradise if, if the Most High, and Allah, and all that good stuff grants her mercy. You know what I mean? She seemed like a good woman. And she did not deserve that any way, shape, or form. It's a tragedy of what happened. But I feel like a lot of other people have been getting ignored. And I think the reason why, honestly, is because, and I'm not going to say it's because of gender bias, but I think it's the story was so juicy. It was basically, the situation was that, the media likes to pick up stories that have all these juicy details. And, this crazy guy that was stalking her and on all that kinds of stuff, and the ineffective of her command not caring and stuff. I think that was more interesting than some of these other stories that are coming out. And unfortunately, these are not discriminating on the basis of gender. Like, these crimes are across the board. Like, I think the guy was Enrique Rodriguez, I believe, was this one of the gentlemen that has died recently this year. This guy went out camping with 7 of his battle buddies, or who he considered his battle buddies. And then they ended up finding this guy's body decapitated and stuff. And I think there's still an investigation. I don't know if they arrested anybody, but there's also somebody that died recently. I was looking up another YouTuber. Let me see if I can get this guy's name of the person that recently just got murdered. Let me see. I just watched the video not too long ago. I would screen share this, but I'm just getting used to this format, so I don't want to like screen share and then have it all messing up and whatnot. All right, so I think I got this guy's name.
Until today, are we talking about a Fort Hood 2.0? There was a 20-year-old Corporal Hayden Harris, which was an Infantry 11 Bravo soldier that reported to Fort Drum only last year in 2019 after his training over at Fort Benning, that has recently had his life taken by another Army soldier over in New Jersey. So if you guys don't know, Fort Drum is located in upstate New York, which obviously already brings some questions. Why was he down in New Jersey? But why was he meeting up with this other soldier? And I do want to remind you guys that this base is only 80 miles away from the Canadian border. The only reports that we have right now are pretty much the fact that They were meeting up for a quotations vehicle exchange. Now, this happened last Thursday night, and obviously it is now looking almost a week later, and it looks like they have found his body. Now, that other soldier that we're talking about that took his life is Jamal Malish, and he is currently in custody right now. We're looking for further details in order to determine what exactly caused this incident to occur.
So, yeah, that's a shout out to this guy. I'm going to give his name out there since I used to stuff. His name is Nicky MGTV. He's a sailor in the Navy. He's a military YouTuber. And, I would never consider myself a military YouTuber. I'm just a YouTuber that happens to be in the service. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say what branch and all that kinds of stuff. Just know it's not the Army. But yeah, because I never want this channel to reflect bad upon my service, my leadership, and things like that. So I kind of keep that information to myself. I'm not going to sit out here and dox myself and send out my information. You know what I mean? That being said, those guys that do it, that are military YouTubers, shout out to them. But unfortunately, I think a lot of them, they really don't want to talk about the negative side of their branch. It's always easy to go say, oh, this situation, of this branch is bad and, this and that. But I mean, they're never going to talk about their leadership. They're never going to talk about their experiences because obviously, since they put themselves out there, they got to represent their branch and their leadership. So they're not going to do that. And I never want to be in a position where I don't feel like I can express myself to the best of my ability about things that I consider very important. So that being said, I really wonder, and I'm not saying the Army is the only branch that experiences this, but it seems to be because they have so many bodies and they have such a demand for boots on the ground. It seems to me, this is my personal opinion from the research that I've done, whether it be on YouTube, different documentaries, and also growing up an Army brat and growing up in Fort Hood, which is like, the biggest, it prides itself as the biggest base in the free world, quote unquote. So, yeah, I mean, I could tell you like really toxic things. Well, the first thing that I noticed that was really toxic about being there was, first off, I think they have a big, this is no diss to guys currently serving or retired and things like that. I know they serve, most of them probably serve with honor. My dad is retired Army, this is no shade to soldiers, but this is just from what I've seen. It seems like this really kind of started to be a really bad. Well, actually, this happens really bad in any branch, but when they need bodies. But since we are all volunteer military, after Vietnam, there was such a morale crisis, and the war was unpopular. So when they drafted people, the morale was really low, and when morale is low, that makes people more apt to commit crimes, to disobey orders, leadership, and things like that. So, I think after the volunteer military, they focus more to quality over quantity. Yeah. But if you notice, especially with the war on terror, they, especially when Iraq kicked off, they really needed bodies. And this is actually documented. This is not a conspiracy theory and stuff like that. You can look at documentaries on, I believe, one of the few good documentaries the History Channel did in the recent years was they did one on, gangs in the service. And one of the biggest services that had it was the U.S. Army, because they literally were dying for guys to, be, boots on the ground because of the attrition rate. And it was an unpopular war, too, just kind of like Vietnam was. So the enthusiasm kind of ran out for, volunteers, and they were stop-lossing a lot of guys and things like that. So for, the combat related jobs, they really needed bodies. So they were putting in a lot of waivers, morality waivers, waivers for like legal reasons and stuff like that. Like guys that had maybe gang affiliations or being convicted of, felonies and stuff like that. They were willing to work as hard as they could to get these guys in to fill those slots. And actually there was a guy at the Army National Guard that actually took upon himself to document gang graffiti that was in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff. I mean, there's Norteños, Crips, Bloods, I'm saying MS-13, all that stuff, And it's real unfortunate because, the military already has a bad enough image, and then you can't imagine the country's worst, literally, serving. And then, of course, imagine, the first Americans you meet in some foreign land that were quote unquote supposed to liberate, or were supposed to, support in the fight against, extremism, terrorism, whatever you like to call it, right? And it's some felon or something like that, it has a gun, and God knows what they're doing, behind closed doors when they have an opportunity to abuse their power, and let alone what they're doing to their fellow soldiers. Because, some of those gang beefs, they happen, and while these guys are in service, they may be comrades in arms, but I mean, shoot, when they get opportunities to one up each other, I mean, sometimes that happens, unfortunately. So, it's really scary, and I can't imagine what that would be like. And I know, especially sexual assault is already a big problem. So unfortunately, that's a big problem in general. People may not feel safe around people in certain situations or whatnot. But I think it's already bad enough to where you literally feel like this person will kill you if they got a chance. I can't imagine what that stress and that lack of camaraderie, that somebody doesn't have your back, especially if you're downrange, right? That's really sad. And I feel for anybody that doesn't feel safe around their so-called comrades and stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm sitting up here that I'm super perfect, member of the service, but at least I hope so. I hope I never give off an impression that somebody's life is in danger around me. If I had the chance to end their life, you know what I mean? And we're supposed to trust each other to the utmost. And if you can't trust the person that's supposed to have your back, literally, I mean, like, what are you doing? And you can look at the comment section of a lot of these cases. There's literally guys that don't even care about their leadership finding out how they feel about things. They're like, hey, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm done. Like, why would I stay in if I can't trust the person next to me and behind me? And I don't trust that my leadership is going to hold these people accountable. And I also don't trust, I feel like I'm a really talented person. I'm an asset to this organization. I'm not valued, I'm just another number. I think I see that in my branch as well. I think we have some of the most talented pool of people in this country coming in, and they can't keep these people, and that's complete trash. That really sucks. It's like, is it because these people aren't getting paid enough? Is it because these people just don't feel fulfilled? Is this because, they're stressed out and they have just really negative experiences or leadership or whatever like that? And I'm going to be honest, I think it's a combination of all of them. Minus the healthcare and education opportunities, which I think people don't really utilize a lot to their benefit. I think that the DoD really struggles with keeping in really talented, innovative people that want to change things, because it's all about the tradition. Tradition is considered more important. So you got these old heads in that, uniforms and marching orders and hair regulations is more important than, being innovative and keeping in the new bloods, they're going to come in, because, you get some of these new kids in that maybe not, they're in a dire strait, or they don't know what they want to do with their life, or they're pressured by the family to get their life together, whatever, right? These people are some of the most smartest, innovative people that could go anywhere, like any corporation probably would want these people, but these people don't have the qualifications to get in, right? So, military is great at entry level employment, right? All you need is a diploma. Or if you're an officer, of course, a bachelor's. But why aren't these people staying in, And it's really something that I think that it's like, it's ridiculous. Like if Google or Facebook or any of these tech companies where it's like, oh, these people just work here for 4 years, 4 to 6 years, and then they get out, and like, we're not really going out of our way to retain these people. Like, that's ridiculous. Because think about it. Most organizations admit this. They spend more time on training more than anything, more than lawsuits, this and that. Most corporations spend most of their time on training their people, because training takes a lot of time. And depending on, if the person has learning disabilities and this and that, or their kind of learning style, like they're taking it takes them a long time to grasp new material for some people, especially if you have a technical related job, right? And you're spending, millions of dollars training these people. And then, for 4 years, I actually, out of the 4 years, they're probably only doing their job after all the training they received for probably maybe like 3 of those years. And you can't keep these people. It's like a endless cycle. And then I think it's to the detriment of our country as a whole, because our adversaries, I think, and I hate to say this, I don't want to sound like authoritarian, but I mean, conscription, I think, is a good idea just to get a pool of people that have some military training just in case the country goes through emergency. And people don't want to think that, right? Because as Americans, right, post Vietnam, we have this idea that, all right, we're hyper individualistic. We view that, hey, we all volunteer force is better for morale and this and that. However, if crap hits the fan, all the technology and training is not going to amount to anything if you don't have people that can serve. And we already have a big obesity rate. A lot of people are disqualified for drugs and things like that, and all kinds of issues like that. So, I mean, if we find an adversary that's big like Russia and China, or countries with really big populations that have at least some people with some military training. I mean, wars people die, and I don't think people really realize that. You can have all the technology in the world, but I mean, even the conflicts we're fighting right now, we're fighting a bunch of guys in caves, or guys hiding out in the deserts doing IED attacks and stuff like that. Attrition does matter, and it drains up the quote unquote manpower of your organization. And if you don't have a decent supply of manpower, you are going to lose. Period. And I don't think people really realize that. There's certain conflicts that it literally got so bad that they actually, there was branches that didn't accept draftees that were accepted draftees, like the Marine Corps prides itself as always being a volunteer force. Well, during, World War II and Korea and Vietnam, the Marine Corps actually accepted draftees. They would go through pools of draftees, or they would have people in the Army actually, say, hey, you have too many people, have some of those guys volunteer for the Marine Corps. I mean, and people overlook that. It's because attrition is going to hit pretty hard, So I really wish there was a serious congressional do you expect people to? Yeah. I guess I need to concern myself with the title. Happy Wednesday. I guess this is a downer topic or whatever like that, but I know it's the holidays or whatever like that. I can talk about the holidays maybe tomorrow, whatnot. But I think the DoD has a serious problem with retaining people. And I know certain branches actually have retention bonuses. I know the Army actually has a crap ton of retention bonuses, but I mean, you can only guess what jobs they are. You know what I'm saying? I think my branch, we might have a few, but I think that there should be across the board retention bonuses. It shouldn't matter what job you have. Like we're struggling to keep people in. The best and brightest, it seems like they don't stay in. And it seems like the people that are just there to ride it, you get 20 years in, especially if you have like kids or something like that. Hey, it's a stable income, stable job, right? And then people just do their 20 years. They don't really care about going above beyond, because guess what? I hate to say, at the end of the day, you get paid just as much as everybody else in your rank. There's not a bonus like, oh, you got a Christmas bonus, or you got holiday bonus or something like that, or birthday bonus because you knocked out numbers of this fiscal year. You get paid just amount to everybody else. So that in of itself is kind of an incentive for people just to be mediocre, unfortunately. I mean, people really don't want to talk about it, but we're a capitalist nation, and our economy is based upon getting money for your worth, right? So, I mean, if I'm getting paid as much as somebody that, is on their cell phone all day and goofing off and getting into trouble, and, they're still able to stay in, what incentive do I have to do the right thing and be innovative and be the best I can be in all these things that I'm told to be? You know what I'm saying? So I think with my titles, I think I could work on quite a few things. But unfortunately, it's like I feel like a lot of descriptions for things are just a baseline for what a discussion is. It's kind of just like a greeting because I'm kind of a person that I have a general topic, but I kind of like branch out and kind of freestyle from there. Because I think a lot of straightforward conversations, if you don't have a really like prestigious channel, are kind of pointless. Like I just started this thing, right? I don't even have a banner or anything like that, which I need to work on, and I could have an intro and things like that. But I want to acquire more to customize my channel, of course, before I do all that, because I want to, all those things to represent who I am fully, and and in my creative process. So that being said, I hope you guys are having a good week. The holidays can be a really trying time, especially during this lockdown. A lot of people aren't around their families. A lot of people aren't around their loved ones, partners, whatever you like to call them. Sorry, got a little cough going on. Yeah, and my feelings are out for you because I'll tell you what, I'm not around in my family, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is not only due to lockdown, but a lot of it is through choice. I guess I'll use this to branch up into another topic. I think I'm one of the few people that chooses not to be around family during holidays. Because, for myself personally, I don't really celebrate Christmas in and of itself for, various reasons. It's not that I hate Christmas or hate what it's supposed to be about or anything like that. I can go into those reasons later, but I don't want to, of course, offend anybody by, be Mr. Scrooge and by humbug by voicing my opinions on it. It is what it is. But I think it's important for people to get together and celebrate, even though I think that this should be year round. It shouldn't be just on one day of the year or a certain time of the year that people get together and do these kinds of things. I think people would be better and society would be better if we valued these quote unquote holidays as being, not just a special event. We should be always showing support and love to our loved ones and those that support us and our friends, and significant others. You shouldn't just use Valentine's Day as a day to, treat your partner better than, usual, or your anniversary as a way to go all out for your partner or your wife, boyfriend, husband and things like that. That should be always a thing. You shouldn't use your kid's birthday as a way to show significance and love to them. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. It's the biggest flaw I think that we have as a culture, as a society, is that we wait until holidays to really go all out and show how decent of a human being we are to one another. Meanwhile, literally right now, I live in the Bay Area, excuse me, and I see homeless people just laying on the ground, poverty, businesses closing, and it's just like, wow, like this is going to be a really crappy holiday for so many people, let alone the people that have lost people due to this virus or various other reasons, whether it be, crime, accidents, things like that, right? People are waiting on this new stimulus bill. There's people that actually really need that money. I personally really don't need the money. I have a steady income. I don't need the money, but, of course, I'm not going to complain if I get it. And I'm probably not going to turn it down if they offer it. But there's people that really need that. So this holiday season it means different things to other people. And we forget that. The first thing we think about is what we're going to get, whether if it's a gift that we're going to receive from somebody else, a gift that we're going to buy for ourselves, things like that. It's just, unfortunately, I think we've gotten to a point where, at first the idea of the holidays was for a lot of people, like, you be the best of yourself and show you're the best of humanity and things like that to one another. But unfortunately, a lot of times the holidays are just, a materialistic, jerk off contest between people. You know what I'm saying? Like, who got the best gift and, who, had the best Christmas party and things like that. You really do those things freaking matter? At the end of the day. So I remember, as a kid, dude, I mean, Christmas was like the shindig. I mean, I remember like Christmas 1997. That was it was like 97 or 98. I think it was 98. But 1998, I'll never forget it because that was the last Christmas that that we spent together as a family before my parents divorced. And I think it was like the year my dad retired from the army too. So my parents went all out. They ended up, I got Star Fox 64 with like the N64. So I actually got the N64 bundle pack with Star Trek 64. I had the Rubble pack, baby. You know what I'm saying? I got GoldenEye. I got like 3 other games. I got Ocarina of Time, the Zelda game. I got like a crap ton of action figures. Boy, like we were so happy. That was like the best Christmas ever. Dude, I mean, ever. I don't think I ever had a Christmas, as good as that one. And it was almost as if it was like foreshadowing what the year after that. And, those 2 years after that were really, really hectic. And I think maybe my parents kind of had discussed that they were going to work out and they kind of wanted to give us one last really good Christmas. So yeah, I think everybody, has fond memories during this time, and I'm not gonna be a Debbie Downer and negative Nancy and be bah humbug, Mr. Scrooge and stuff like that. But I think a lot of what this was supposed to mean to people has kind of got lost to the ages in this day and age. I mean, unfortunately we're very selfish and narcissistic, and everybody cares about, their little group and how well they're doing, you know what I mean? But meanwhile, their neighbor, is struggling to survive. Are they not worthy of, your concern? I mean, do people don't even knock on each other's doors or try to, wave to their neighbors and ask how they're truly doing anymore? I don't know if it, was always a thing, but I mean, I remember as a kid, it seemed like our neighbors kind of cared about each other. We were kind of in each other's business to that point. And, privacy is important. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, privacy only goes to a certain extent. Like, if you're going through like really dire straits, man, I mean, I would like to think that, it's appropriate to be concerned about your well-being, because I mean, let's say you don't have any family or anybody that cares about you and you're just there all alone. I mean, then what does that turn into? You start harming yourself, you start harming others, and wilding and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, especially people that have kids and they're alone. I mean, I can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine what that might be like. That must be a traumatic experience to be a single parent with kids and struggling. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's all I have for right now. I'm not gonna sit here and sit on my soapbox. I kind of didn't have really a topic for this one. I kind of, I saw that YouTube video about that soldier. May they rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? And may they be granted paradise in the hereafter. That's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And it's, and not just people in the service. It's terrible if anybody's life gets taken or if anybody gets, put in a situation where, they get traumatized beyond their means, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause we all face different traumas, but, I wouldn't wish, some of those things on even my worst enemy. Cause I know what that feels like. Of course I'm alive, but I've been through things in life, and I would never, those feelings just stay with you for such a long time. They're always with you, you just find ways to, curb them the best you can, to cope with them the best you can. But yeah, my heart goes out to any victims of any violent crime. Like, that's terrible. And I think it's going to be a reckoning for our country if we don't truly address this. We have a lot of issues going on with, but I think our country has the best PR campaign in the world, we're the beacon of freedom and democracy, and people come here, from all over the world to immigrate and raise their kids here to better their lives and this and that, what I mean? Like, we have the Statue of Liberty and all that crap, right? And I don't mean crap like it's not important, but it is what it is, right? These are some of these things are symbolic more than actual, right? But if we don't solve our issues with poverty, if we don't solve our issues with our economy, if we don't solve issues with our military, we don't solve issues with the growing obesity rate, and that's out of control, health issues, things like that, mental health especially. God, why? Like, that doesn't even really get talked to much. The opioid crisis, drug addiction, things like that, corruption in various forms. We don't talk about these things, we're going to be be the seed of our own destruction. And I think the world watches us more than anything. We're under a constant microscope, and I think that a lot of the stuff with social media and things like that is getting exposed more. Like, we can't hide these things anymore. And if we don't, we're gonna end up destroying ourselves as a culture, as a people, as a nation. And I think that that's not the front page story on the news, unfortunately. It's like, whether it be, these little infighting political things, that's what the focus on, and, one person gets the blame for everything wrong in the country. And we already know how that is, nobody takes accountability for what they contributed to the problem, whether it be, the race issue and, the quote unquote gender war, everything like that. Everybody just wants to point the finger at other people, but they don't want to take accountability to what they did, and how you going to just, do that and just pin everything on one group of people or certain individuals, and you don't take accountability for what you're contributing, because everybody wants to talk about this and talk that about change, right? But what are you doing to change anything? You're not doing anything but collecting a paycheck. You're just doing your job, going home to your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, kids, husband, whatever, right? And you're just living the normal 9-to-5 life, right? And you're concerned about accumulating your wealth. You're not concerned with that, truly changing anything. The most you're concerned about changing anything is arguing with people on the internet in the comment section. Let's keep it a buck, right? We're still obsessed as a culture with entertainment, having a good time, leisure, and things like that. We really put much the same amount of time that we're spending on our cell phones looking at gossip, Instagram models, stupid stuff and memes and stuff like that, compared to educating ourselves on what the issues are in a nuanced kind of way, instead of just a black and white kind of way, like getting all the information, deciphering it, disseminating it, and then coming with our own opinions and how we have solutions for these problems. We would be in a way different place right now. We have so much information, but unfortunately, I think a lot of the information is being skewed to, people's taste, right? There's the truth and there's quote unquote your truth. And sometimes those things don't overlap because nobody wants to be wrong. Like, I admit, dude, I used to be that way, but now, man, if somebody wants to call me out as being wrong, I say, hey, I stand corrected. I don't have that much pride in myself to where I won't check myself for being wrong. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest flaw we have as human beings. Like, why are people so afraid of being wrong? Guess what, man? Like, that's a part of growing up. And we're constantly growing, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm 32 years old. I won't stop growing until the day I die. Because you're not growing, you're dying, period. So, yeah, I think I'm going to end this stream. I just realized I did this at kind of weird time. Everybody's probably chilling with their family and whatnot. I just got back home after a long day. Excuse me. Whoa. But I just got back home after a long day. Just kind of wanted to use all mine because, that video that I saw earlier, I kind of like shared with at least the audio was, it's just stuff like that just sickens my stomach. Why are human beings so absolutely garbage to one another? Like, it's disgusting. Like, I've been up and I've been down. I've had my moments. I've had my shortcomings, but never in my mind that this was just like, God, I'm just going to seriously set this guy up and then stab him in the back or literally kill in this person's life because of some small grudge or some insecurity I have. Like, I could never imagine stooping so low. that's so heavy and so disappointing that we have that in us, right? Somebody once said, like, oh, well, everybody that kills somebody is crazy. I'm like, no, I think like for some people, it's a completely rational thought. I mean, look at the human history. We're extremely violent. Was every single person that ever committed any act of violence in history just crazy? No. One of the best quotes I've ever heard was from a Vietnam vet. He said, people think the military teaches you to kill people, but all military is finishing school. It's just, college. It's just literally killing college. We do that without the military. That's why it's called lawful killing, quote unquote. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I have. Like, share, subscribe. Next time I'll try to be a little bit more, organized with how the flow's going to go and touch things up a little bit, get some banners going, maybe get an intro going, get it start screen sharing some things. It's just with this laptop that I'm using currently, I need to upgrade. I've had this thing for like the last 4 years. Hard drive is full of, excess video games and things like that. And, a lot of memories taken up. So I'm afraid of, like, if I screen share and start doing other things with the stream, that it's going to make the stream, not as quality. And this stream is, it's decent, but it could be a lot better. So take care, stay safe. You got loved ones right now. Do your very, very, very best to make them feel important and valid in your life, because you never know what somebody's going through inside. I really care about you guys. Regardless of who sees this, I'm saying you're important, you're valued. Take care of yourself. If you made any mistakes, don't dwell on them, because I guarantee the mistakes that you really beat yourself up about are nothing compared to mine or other people, that you may know. So take care. Love you guys. Deuces and happy holidays.